Lewis Nitro 91 here. This video is about the involvement of Roman Catholic Church, the Freemasons, and other secret societies that we still have out there. And the plot of the assassination of President Lincoln, and to let you know how far all this have gone. And I want you to know that I want you to compare this story, this whole thing that I've been trying to present to you, the assassination of Lincoln, is very, very, very similar to the assassination of President Kennedy. And I don't doubt at any moment that all the things that happened in the assassination of Kennedy, it was probably the same way they killed President Lincoln. Just to let you know and to keep it in mind that these things are happening and it's been in front of us all this time, but we haven't had the time to investigate all this and to realize the things that are going on in our life. I'll stop talking and I'll let you guys hear about what really happened back then. God bless. Take care. Bye.
John Wilkes Booth shot Abraham Lincoln on April 14, 1865, and questions arose almost immediately. Was Booth solely responsible for the assassination, or was Booth simply a tool in a much larger conspiracy? Just who may or may not have been involved with Booth? Booth has been the subject of profound writers, historians, researchers, and others for the past 146 years, with the publication of new books and articles in the 1980s, 1990s, and beyond. The quest to find what really happened has continued until this date. The Roman Catholic Church was behind Lincoln's assassination. In 1886, an ex-priest by the name of Charles Chiniquy, pictured to the left, wrote a book titled 50 Years in the Church of Rome, which portrayed the assassination of Lincoln as a Catholic grand conspiracy. Chiniquy maintained that Jefferson Davis had offered $1,000 if someone would kill the author of the bloodshed. Chiniquy wrote that the money could be offered, but that the Jesuits alone could select the assassins, train them, and show them a crown of glory in heaven. Booth was the tool of the Jesuits. He was corrupted and directed by the Vatican. In 1906, Chiniquy said, the President, Abraham Lincoln, was assassinated by the priests and the Jesuits of Rome. In 1856, Lincoln had defended Chiniquy in court. Chiniquy had quarreled with his bishop and then was sued for slander by one of the bishop's friends, the bishop himself having nothing to do with the complaint. A morals charge was also involved. The case was heard May 2022, 1856, in Urbana, Illinois. Lincoln arranged for a compromise settlement, but Chiniquy interpreted the settlement as a victory over the church. He felt some Jesuits held Lincoln responsible for the settlement. In 1897, Thomas M. Harris, a member of the 1865 Military Commission, wrote a book entitled Rome's Responsibility for the Assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Other books that involve the Roman Catholic Church in Lincoln's assassination include Democracy, Under Siege: The Jesuits Attempt to Destroy the Popular Government of the United States, The True Story of Abraham Lincoln's Death by C.T. Wilcox, and The Suppressed Truth About the Assassination of Abraham Lincoln by Burke McCarty, 1924. McCarty's opening sentence was, "In all the bloody history of the papacy, perhaps in no one man, as in Abraham Lincoln, was there concentrated such a multitude of reasons for his annihilation by that system." An inquiry into the assassination of Abraham Lincoln by Emmett McLaughlin was published in 1963. Among other points, McLaughlin maintained that the majority of American Catholics were in favor of slavery and opposed to Lincoln. The author said the totalitarian papacy considered Lincoln a major enemy, and that the church for centuries had been involved in numerous instances of the forcible removal of heads of state whom it condemned. Lincoln's assassination was the result of a conspiracy of powerful international bankers. This theory is that Abraham Lincoln was killed as a result of his monetary policies. John Wilkes Booth would be seen as a hired gun. In its simplest terms, the theory is that Lincoln needed money to finance the Civil War. Bankers in Europe led by the Rothschilds offered him loans at high interest rates. Rather than accept the loans, Lincoln found other means to fund the war effort. More importantly, the British bankers opposed Lincoln's protectionist policies. Some Englishmen in the 1860s believed that British free trade industrial monopoly and human slavery traveled together. Lincoln's policies after the Civil War would have destroyed the Rothschilds' commodity speculations. After the war, Lincoln planned a mild Reconstruction policy which would have enabled a resumption of agriculture production. The Rothschilds were betting the other way on high prices caused by a tough Reconstruction policy toward the South. Lincoln was viewed as a threat to the established order of things, and he was assassinated as a result. The goal was to weaken the United States so the Rothschilds could take over its economy. An article titled "The Rothschilds' International Plot to Kill Lincoln" was published October 29, 1976, in New Solidarity. Several groups in the North opposed Abraham Lincoln and his policies. Radical Republicans feared the president's purported mild plans for Reconstruction. They wanted greater control over what would happen to the South after the war. Also, because of the Union blockade, the price of cotton had risen dramatically, and cotton speculators were reaping the profits. Lincoln himself, seeing the Union need for Southern cotton, had allowed the purchase of cotton in exchange for greenbacks and meat. Despite opposition from Ulysses S. Grant and other generals, Lincoln approved cotton trading permits for many individuals, including some of his closest friends. Some devoted Southerners burned their own cotton to keep it out of enemy hands. Others, however, discovered that Union agents were willing to pay the highest prices for cotton in over half a century. Bankers, financiers, businessmen, cotton speculators, and profiteers all benefited from the cotton trade, but they feared the good times would end as the war was drawing down. The center for the illicit activity was the DeMille & Company, at 178 1/2 Water Street in New York. Even Lafayette Baker and some Confederates may have had ties to this address. Anti-Lincoln sentiment grew in 1864, and covert plotting to rid the nation of Abraham Lincoln increased. In the ciphers found by Ray Neff, Baker wrote, there were at least 11 members of Congress involved in the plot, no less than 12 Army officers, 3 naval officers, and at least 24 civilians, of which one was a governor of a loyal state. 5 were bankers of great repute. There were nationally known newspapermen, and 11 were industrialists of great repute and wealth. Regarding the Northern opposition to Lincoln, on September 20, 1864, Thurlow wrote to William Seward that opposition against Lincoln was equally formidable and vicious, embracing a larger number of leading men than I suppose possible. At the conspiracy trial following Lincoln's assassination, Samuel Chester, a friend of Booth's, testified Booth told him there were from 50 to 100 persons engaged in the conspiracy. In his lost confession, George Hatzeret stated, Booth said if he did not get him quick the New York crowd would. Booth knew the New York party apparently by a sign. He saw Booth give some kind of sign to 2 parties on the avenue who he said were from New York. At the 1864 Democratic National Convention, Benjamin Allen, of New York, said, the people will soon rise, and if they cannot put Lincoln out of power by the ballot, they will by the bullet. Loud cheers. A lenient peace was abhorrent to the radicals, and the cotton speculators feared an end to their big profits. Cotton traders saw the price of $1.41 per pound in November 1864 fall to $1.85 by February and below 40 cents by early April. Disaffection grew. Lincoln had to go, and John Wilkes Booth was their man in the field to take action. One book which ties Lincoln's assassination to moneyed interests motivated by their own trading activities is Charles Hyam's Murdering Mr. Lincoln, a new detection of the 19th century's most famous crime. Beverly Hills, New Millennium Press, 2004. Another book which emphasizes Northern clandestine business deals with the South is Dark Union, the secret web of profiteers, politicians, and Booth conspirators that led to Lincoln's death by Leonard F. Guttridge and Ray A. Neff, Hoboken, New Jersey. John Wiley & Sons, Incorporated, 2003. Other groups and individuals that have at times been implicated in Lincoln's assassination include Freemasons, an alliance of disaffected Northerners and Confederates, the B'nai B'rith, and the Knights of the Golden Circle. Major Henry R. Rathbone, John F. Parker, Thomas T. Eckert, and Mary Todd Lincoln have not totally escaped suspicion. Speculation that Booth's motivation was to avenge the hanging of Confederate John Yates Beale is not proven. For details, please see the November 2000 edition of Absurd Courier. Although it's been over 145 years since the assassination, any kind of closure on all of the circumstances surrounding the event still seems a long way in the distance. Judging simply by email messages to me over the past 16 years, the general public favors theories 2 and 6 mentioned above. The preponderance of recent published material by scholars and writers supports numbers 2 and 3. Some experts would combine the two, saying that, although Booth had strong ties to the Confederacy, the actual events of April 14, 1865, were planned by Booth, not Richmond. Most everyone admits there is circumstantial evidence that ties Confederate agents to Booth. The difference comes in the interpretation of this evidence. It seems certain that the controversy will continue well into the current century. Future studies and interpretations are sure to be published. Perhaps all the answers will never be known. In his 1999 publication entitled The Assassination of Abraham Lincoln, Professor Thomas Reed Turner, author of Beware the People Weeping, Public Opinion and the Assassination of Abraham Lincoln, notes the recent trend of professional historians who have been researching and writing about the assassination. On pages 78, Turner says, although this trend is a very positive one, those who continue to hope that the assassination may be solved, in the same manner as a murder mystery may be solved, are destined to be disappointed. The century which has passed makes any new and definitive solution to the crime doubtful. It is unlikely that a smoking gun will surface, even though there may still be new sources, which will be discovered.